do this, everybody. What's happening? All right, let's see. Let's get all of our stuff nice and situated. Before we get started, I'm never on time, as we all know. Paint with Josh is never on time, never. So just in staying with that, we're gonna get out a new little filbert brush to paint our moon with today. So let's not go too crazy big. Let's get this number 7 out right here. I'm gonna use that guy, and it should be pretty fun. So what we need to do first is, as you can see, I like to show you every single step on a Friday night freestyle or a Monday night madness, right? So we took our Bob Ross liquid clear, covered the entire canvas. You can see in my shirt even how reflective the canvas is. It's very wet, right? So you can see everything moving around in it because the canvas is super wet right now. Now, we've covered the canvas in that, and I like to show you how we put on the undercolors sometimes, because a lot of times we get people that ask, how do you put on the undercolors, Josh? How do you prep the canvas before you start painting? So let's figure it out right now, right? I figure we're gonna go with like a green, seascapey, just a gorgeous little painting onto this canvas. So let's get some green out here into our sky somewhere. Just somewhere, put it out there, anywhere. And we can see where we start to put it, it's a lot more green. And then as you work out, right? As you work out and get your flex in, it starts getting less and less and less green, more dark color. But the green is still out there. So anytime we cover over it with our, go across it with our white, we want some undercolor underneath there, right? Just like that, pushing on the green. Now, let's take that same green and let's put it somewhere down in here, like it'd be some ocean color somewhere, right? And all we're doing is smushing it across our entire 15 by 30 inch canvas. It's a very strange canvas size today. I normally do these guys and they're very vertical, so they fit perfectly for the phone screen, you know what I mean? It's like a real tall canvas. But we swapped it horizontally today to do a big, long, flat seascape. Maybe throw a lighthouse in here somewhere. It's gonna be wicked cool. So let's see, where else could we possibly put in? You know what, let's swap to the green. The blue, take the blue right on the edge of the brush, throw it right over the top, just like that. Boom, get all that dark blue kind of streaking down through there. And it's gonna interact with the green. Maybe take a little bit of green, swipe one down through there. Why not, right? Just have a little bit out there, because anytime we go across it with our white clouds, it should interact differently. Now we're getting too much paint onto that other brush, so let's switch to a brand new brush. Gonna go through to our phthalo green, which is much more of a, it's like a sea green, like an ocean-y kind of green. So we're gonna put it in different places, leaving little swipes, right? So you gotta leave those little swipes in there. And that way your paint is a little thicker in that one spot. People ask me all the time, Josh, how do you get such a vibrant green when you're doing your seascapes, right? Well, you guys are watching me, exactly what I'm doing. We're taking the same paints that you're using, right? And I'm just putting it up there maybe a little bit thicker than you are. Maybe you're stretching yours out a little bit more than I'm stretching mine out, right? And that's why it stays a different color or becomes a brighter color. And the more thick paint that you have on the canvas and then you hit it with white, the brighter it's gonna be of that color, right? The less you have, the more thin and blended out that your sky or your ocean water is. And then you touch it with white, the less it's gonna happen, right? So, all depends on the amount of paint that we put on the canvas, right? P1, paint with Josh. The amount of paint that goes on the canvas. Get a little bit, another little stripe of green in there. Just little differences, right? Everywhere. Everywhere, why not? Throw another one up here. Just wherever you want in the sky, it's gonna come out cool. Trust me. Gotta have those crazy colors all over the place, and then we'll see what we can do. Maybe a little bit more green, swipe it out there, and what it'll do is leave it a little bit extra bright green right in the center, right? Very cool, very neat. Now, on the YouTube camera, I'm seeing it looks super bright because all the lights are like perfectly stretched on it like that. It's not that bright in real life. We're gonna take a little bit of our blue, throw that right over the top of that green. So we should have all these little different colors back in there. Blue, green, swipe it down in, maybe a little of our phthalo green too. Just mix it in, push it around, right? Make sure we have differences in color across the whole thing. It looks really cool. I like it. We'll just sell it like this. Boom, it's for sale. There you go. It's done. It's over. It's fantastic, right? So remember guys, you can buy this painting. It's available for sale right now. If you go to paintwithjosh.etsy.com, you can find it in my store. Once you're in paintwithjosh.etsy.com, search in the search bar for number 880, and that's this painting. I think it's 267 I think is the price on it. It's a 15-inch by 30-inch Pro Series canvas. Not the little canvases, not the inexpensive ones, the big, chunky, thick ones. Right? Those ones that are like a drum. You smack it like a drum on there, right? So, you can get this painting worldwide shipping, and I think it's $267. Somebody go check it out for me. I'm not 100% sure. So if you could go tell me what it is exactly in the comments, head over to my store, check it out, and then tell me what it is. Then I'll be sure to know for the rest of the show. But I think it's like $267-ish. But we'll see. We'll see who goes over and finds out for us, right? Now all I'm doing is drying off the paper towel on a bit of, drying off the brush on a bit of paper towel over here. And now comes the fun part. Normally we do all of this stuff prior to starting the filming, right? But during the live shows on a Monday and a Friday, you're in luck if you want to see every single step because I show you literally everything. Now, we're going to take that brand new brush that we pulled out. Going to come over here, go through our white paint just on the one side of the brush. Just the one side. Bam, just like that, right? Doesn't need to be a whole chunky, thick amount. Just very lightly dragging it through so we get a little bit of paint right there. Not on the back side, just on the front side, right? We'll come over here like this. And just pick a spot. Where's there a nice little spot where we could get all the colors together maybe? I don't know, a little blue, a little green. What if we put it right up there? Maybe we'll get two colors in this guy. So we're gonna push it in and try to stay out of your guys' way as we rotate the brush around. And the less times you do it, the less it's gonna blend. Boom, get this cool little white little circle out there. Woo, that looks cool. Now, see, all we did, we just kept all the paint on the one side. Didn't even get any on the other side, like I said, because you're pushing it in and then rotating it around. You can even do it again like this, right? And it's easier if you rotate the brush with the bristles, but I like to stay out of your guys' way. See how I went up and down, and that way it kind of got all the way around there. But to stay out of your guys' way, I gotta go like this sometimes and kind of twist it. So you kind of find your own way, the easiest way that it is for you to do, and that's the way to do it. I always say, however it works out easiest for you is the right way to do it. You don't have to do it my way. You don't have to do it Frank Sinatra's way. You don't have to do it anybody's way. All right, let's come in here like this. Let's get some clouds going on our seascape. It's gonna be gorgeous. Maybe we'll have like a little lighthouse in this one. Just maybe. We got a giant bristle sticking out there. Looks like it's giving us the bird. How dare you? How dare you, sir? Get out of here with that. This is a family show, right? We're gonna take this up here and come up next to our moon and just sort of look at all those colors. All those greens with the blue and the green, the super sap green, and we got the phthalo green turns into blue over here. Really cool, guys. Really cool. Right? You're like, what did you just do? That doesn't look like a cloud. Well, you tell me when it starts to look like a cloud. Let me know in the comments when it starts to look like a cloud. Are we ready? All I'm gonna do is start making little counterclockwise circles, dragging the paint down towards the horizon. Dragging it down, right? Not trying to make both areas look exactly the same, not trying to get both the colors to touch, right? Not trying to do anything. Just trying to spread the paint out, just like that, dragging it down where you have a couple little brighter areas, a little darker area, right? Just like that, boom. Look at all those colors that we went across. Remember all those streaks that we went across? As we pop that bright color in there, it takes our focus away from those streaks in the background, so you don't even have to worry about them. You don't even have to. And look at this poor old brush. Went from white to just dark green like crazy. So let's wash them off. Get it nice and clean. And you guys are going to tell me where, just like I literally just posted this on Instagram and on my TikTok channel, the where or what's your favorite sandwich? Because you guys always know. Every time I go to wash my brush, I ask you, tell me where you're watching from and what's your favorite sandwich? So tell me, guys, and this time, tag them in the comments. Be like, hey, Jimmy John's is my favorite, or Subway is my favorite sandwich, or, you know, the Italian from Jersey Mike's. I just can't get enough of it. Like, you tell me, where you watching from? What's your favorite sandwich? Oh, you should have heard me and Bailey laughing at myself. If you go watch that video, it's like, what's your favorite sandwich? What's your favorite sandwich? Sandwich. What's your favorite? That was just like so many little clips of all the little recent shows where we've asked you, what's your favorite sandwich? So, tag him in the comments. Get Jimmy John's in here. I want to tell him, you know, my favorite sandwich is number 9 over at Jimmy John's. So, let's get our white paint back up onto the brush, right? And we're going to come out here. Now, we've worked from our brightest area into this darker abyss, right? As it gets further away from our initial paint contact, it gets darker and darker and darker, right? That's right where we want to pop in our new little bit of cloud. So as it comes down to the very last bit of bright color that we have up there before it's just, you know, that original green, we're gonna come in here like this, come into that little dark section. Now, once we're there, you see how we've come down, we've left much deeper, darker places that are totally disconnected from the cloud, and you come up into the cloud a little bit, but you don't want your white area to touch and be the same, right? Because we all know as we start to mix it out, just take that guy and just throw him off to the side. Whatever. As we start to mix it outwards, right, it's going to grow and it's going to blend down, and we don't want the colors to be the same color. So let's start over here. Take this guy. Little backwards circles, counterclockwise circles is what Josh likes to do, right? Softly, little things. Look at the difference in color in between all of those places. Green, phthalo green, blue, black, green again, sap green over here, phthalo green down here, all changing, all based on our what, guys? We put the paint up there. That's the first P of Paint with Josh, right? First P is paint. What's the second P of Paint with Josh? Does anybody know? Can you tell me in the comments right now? Tell me in those comments, what's that second P of Paint with Josh? It's one of the most vital P's, and it's one that no one ever tells you about. So you tell me, what's that second P, and maybe your comment's gonna get pinned. I just gotta wash this brush, get over here, we'll start giving out some shout outs. What's that second P of Paint with Josh, guys? Who knows? Wanda G knows it's pressure. Jesse Ann knows it's pressure. Let's go like that. Jason Miller knows pressure. Kenny Bear knows pressure. Stephanie Hart knows pressure. Denver Jones. That's a cool name. I wish my name was Denver Jones. Painting with Denver Jones. Ah, why didn't I name my channel that? You know what I really want to be? Danger Jones. That's what we're going to start calling me. Painting with Danger. That's a cool name, Denver Jones. I like that name. I like that name. So, we're gonna take a little bit more white paint. Let's work ourselves out over here into this open area that we have, right? We're gonna come in, maybe, I mean, shoot, you could come in at a different angle this way, but I like with these longer seascapes, making these longer bits. So watch, we're gonna come across the blue, the green, the blue, the green, the phthalo green, and everything. Depends on how far you drag your cloud, right? All dependent on the amount of paint that's on the brush. So we're gonna come in here, our little cursive scribble clouds popping up, popping down, popping over here and around, and maybe we'll just connect it with that guy. Maybe. We'll see what he looks like, right? We'll see what it looks like. Now, out here, you can push a little harder. You can blend it a little further. It can be darker because we're further away from the moon out here, right? So let's mix into this guy. Again, we don't want to come too far down. It may end up being part of our ocean back there. You never know, right? All depends. Trying to get a little bit of that white up towards the bit of white that's up here, right? That's turned green. Just kind of pushing it up, leaving that dark separator, letting it get a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger, and a little bit bigger. Stretching out. And we take this guy down here and we start to mush on him and pull on him. And you see it's not just the same circle right here all the time. Sometimes we jump across and then we work it back, or we'll jump up here and then we'll come back down. Take this guy, jump down over there, come back and make a full giant circle. Maybe push it up here, right? All depends, but it's not the same circles every time. So don't just go same little bit, same little bit, same little bit. It's not gonna look as realistic, right? Sometimes you gotta push a little extra harder on one of your half circles and then stop and then slow down and then over here and back and forth. All depends. Now we're gonna take the bottom of this guy. Just very firmly, a lot of pressure. All we're doing is dumping any amount of white paint that picked up onto the brush, and you can see it's not a lot, right? Because it's very green. But any amount of that paint is just slowly mixing in with the sky color that's gonna be underneath, way off in the background. This looks like a perfect spot for a little lightning bolt to shoot out of later on too. Ooh, maybe we could arc it across into that next cloud, or pop it up, or come down into the water. Lots of little things you can do, right? All depends on your painting, guys. I always say that. Always depends on your painting. So remember, you can get this painting at paintwithjosh.etsy.com. Grab this one, it's number 880. I haven't done a green seascape in a minute, and it's gonna be fantastic. Now, let's wash this old brush off, since we're gonna come back in and use it to make up our oceany water off in the background. Gotta get that guy nice and clean. Into the old beater bucket and beat the devil out of it. So, tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? We're gonna have a lot of fun today. It's gonna be a fun time, guys. Let's see. Bing, bang, boom. Now, very cool little canvas. What we're gonna do here is just kind of mix this guy backwards a little bit more, just taking any bit of that little bit of light color and just moving it back as my maul stick falls over. That's funny. Okay, let's come back in here, grab up some white. Just like this, gorgeous little bit of white. It's gonna be fantastic. Don't need a whole lot of paint on the brush though. Sometimes we overload it, right? It's very easy to overload the brush. Now, let's come back in here and we'll figure out where we should put our ocean, right? Now, obviously you don't wanna put it way up here, right? I mean, you could, but way up into the clouds like that just doesn't look very realistic to me. That's why we kind of blend it down into that lighter color so you can then pop it in right underneath here and it'd be very cool. Now, I only want to do a little bit, so let's try to make it straight with our yardstick. It's a long canvas, we'll try to make it straight. Little bit of light right underneath, right back here. Not trying to push in too hard, not trying to drop too much paint, right? Just like that. Now, you can literally just use that as a little guide, start dropping little bits of excess paint, right? Little things. Making our bright line back there, a little bit darker underneath, and then we're gonna have a next little bit of brightness come in, but we've gotta wash that brush off. You gotta make sure you've got enough paint on the brush in order to have it react correctly, right? If you want it to be bright, make sure you got some white paint on there. If it's not pure white, make sure you wash your brush off and go back and get some more. Now, what if we came back here like this and we had this little mustache? Whoop, just a little guy way off in the distance back there. Maybe he's got another guy right there. Little bit, little things, right? All we're doing is trying not to get this brightness to match that brightness at the back, right? So all we're doing is pulling, dumping, pushing a little bit harder on the brush, brightening it up. Look at those little waves out there. Oh, wicked, just wicked, right? Not trying to make everything all the exact same color. That's not what you want to do. Look at those little things, right? Those little mustache shapes. You can even make this guy a bit more. Let's get a smaller brush. This brush is getting to be a bit too big. So you don't need a micro-sized one, but get a little smaller guy, give us some more detail. There we go. All right, that little bit of dip, and then we fill it in, pushing it back, just like that, right? A couple little dips and waves and humps and bumps and everything else. Now, with our next bit, you know what we should do? We should do another little mustache guy, right? If we came down in between, and we came like that, but do we have to come up and touch both? We'd have to come right here and lose that whole section if we did that. And that's not something I really want to do because it looks so stinking pretty like that. So let's wash this brush off and we'll sit back and make a decision about what we're gonna do, right? It's not about just following it, being the exact same thing every time. It's about watching what the painting's trying to tell us, right? Like what's it saying? Does it want to have 2 or 3 or 4 little bits of back ocean water? Does it just want to have 1? What does it want? It's going to tell us if you listen closely. Give it a listen. Fresh cut, by the way. Thank you. Thanks for noticing, guys. Thanks for noticing, everybody. Give it a little listen, and the painting will tell you what it wants to do. And this one's telling me that we could do another one from there, but it would have to be like, nah, it's too big to there. And there to there is not going to make sense because then it's going to connect and it's not going to look right, right? So we're just going to have to rock with the one. Maybe we'll have more sand in this one than I thought initially, but in either case, it's going to look cool. So let's come back with our bigger brush and a little bit more white paint on it. Going to load it up this time. Not trying to load it all the way up to the squeezy bit or whatever this piece is called. I don't know what this bit's called. The little squeezy part that holds all the bristles in, right? It's obviously squeezing them all in. Little squeezy bit, right? So let's say we take our thing right by the squeezy bit and we start rolling up like that. Not straight up, not like a ramp, right? Just very lightly, very gradually. Let's slide our wave back down this way. And from here, we're gonna very lightly flick that color all the way back without touching our last little section of color. It's going to start to create a little wave, a little shadow right underneath that last bit of brightness, right? Now we've hit our little pivot point down here. You could continue off that way, or you could go this way, right? And we normally show you before I get to this point, the little pivot point. So remember that term, pivot point. Remember that, because I'm going to ask you about it later on. So from our little pivot point, we're going to get longer, and then we're going to come back to the same spot, 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 the same spot. Boom. Sliding it around, right? Not trying to fill in all of these little bits, not trying to make it all the same, making this one little pivot point the only point that's going to be the connection from the backwater to our front wave, right? Everything else is going to move, because as we come in here, we're not going to go up and touch that. We're going to leave a little dark separator, just like we left back here. And then we're going to start to rotate it around, this guy goes off this way. Maybe he comes down and he's like about to fall off the canvas, and who knows? We could take our paint like this, and as long as we're going in the opposite direction of how we came up, we'll make our little mustache shape. Right? Everybody knows about the mustache. I just told you about it back here. We've got our little mustache. Next little mustache, well, what are these? They're little bits of water coming at different angles, making a mustache, making the water look like it's rounding around towards us. Very cool. Now, look, still got a bunch of white paint onto here. So let's come in and just touch. Dab, right? Just dab in a little bit of color on our brush, trying to leave what? What do we leave right here? That little line. I've said it before. It's right here. It's right here. It's back here. It's actually, there's another one way back there. What's that little dark line called, guys? Anybody know? The dark separator, says Sally Spillman. She's a Spillman. Were you guys here last night when I was talking about that? You have a longshoreman, a fireman, a spellman. I'm a paintman. Okay? I don't know what you guys are. Are you an accountantman? Or a spellman? Person who writes, I guess. It would be an author, a spellman. Or maybe somebody who reads well, like an orator. I don't know. But I'm a paintman, if you ask me. So, just like that, taking our 1-inch brush, just making a little bit of an eye, little brightness, but leaving our dark separator. Not trying to bring this color to touch that color yet. Not trying to have the colors touch this way. Separate everything, right? The more dark separator you have in there, the more depthy and full of just shadowy mysteriousness your painting is going to be, right? So, if you want a cool, mysterious looking painting, leave the dark separators. Now we're going to come over here and take that 1-inch brush and very, very lightly, because we all know when we start to pull on this guy or push on it with any amount of pressure, what's going to happen to that paint? Any amount of pressure that we start pushing on it, it's going to want to grow, right? Good job, class. Good job. It's going to want to grow no matter how far or how lightly we touch it or how hard we push on it. It's going to want to grow. So, just like that, right? You can even pull it back up towards our dark separator, but don't have them touch yet. You want to keep them separate. I'll show you the same amount of pressure. Pulling it down in the other direction starts to look like a bit of water, guys. It's creeping around. It's going to be really cool. Now, before we get too far ahead, because once we start this bit of wave crashing, I want to put our lighthouse and stuff way back in the distance. So let's come back over here and let's take a bit of our 3 favorite dark colors to make a shadow. Does anybody know those 3 favorite colors that Josh likes to use to make a shadow? I'm literally scraping them up right on my palette right now. What are those 3 colors that Josh likes to use in order to make a shadow? It's going to get you a pinned comment and maybe a follow from a bunch of people. Let's see. Blue, crimson, black. There it is. Airy, fairy, fay. Going to pin your comment. You're going to get all the follows from all the people because they know to follow the person who's got the pinned comment. One day, you're going to be in that pinned comment spot. And you're going to want everybody to follow you, that's for sure. Now, let's go way off in the distance out here. Going to come in, going to grab a little of our darkness, just like this. Just a touch on the end of the brush. Littlest bit, right? We don't need it to go forever. We don't want to have that much dark paint. Now, way out here where our water is going to eventually meet our little bit of land, we're going to start to dump in a little bit of darkness. Just going side to side. Boom. And get a little bit darker out there. See, it looks like a little dark spot of land way off in the distance, right? And the further we pull it over this way, the further out it's going to go into the ocean. So then you can start going, okay, well, let's have a little bit of a hill. Maybe come off of that guy. Maybe one over here, one back there, a little bit higher up. Boom. Got a cool, off in the distance, very far away little piece that we don't even give a crap about. Now, the best part is going to be the lighthouse. So, maybe we should zoom the cameras in for the lighthouse? I don't know. I mean, it's not that, there's not so much detail. You're even going to use a fan brush, right? Let's say we came out here. Let's go. Ooh, let's come back here, right in the midst of all that brightness of that cloud back there, and it'll stand out. So come back, pushing down. Boom. A little bit like that. I'm trying to make it as straight as possible and a little thicker at the bottom than it is at the top, right? In my mind, that's what it would be. A little thicker at the bottom, a little thicker at the top. Thicker at the bottom, thinner at the top. There we go. just like that. Now we're gonna switch brushes in order to make a more of a detailed thing. And if you're like, oh, I made it too big, right? Oh no, I made it too big, Josh. What do I do now? Watch this. We can literally wipe it off, right? Take off as much as you want. Use a paper towel if you want to, it doesn't matter. Come in here to those clouds. Blend those suckers right around the edge. Poof, you just made it a little bit shorter, right? All depends what you want it to look like, how far in the distance you want it to be, this, that, and the other. Maybe there's a little house out there underneath them, right? It's all just very far away. All implied about what the building looks like, what the lighthouse looks like, what anything looks like. All implied out there because we're not painting a whole lot of detail onto it, right? Let's see. It's a very far away little thing. We're gonna take our filbert brush. So I think it's a little bit too thick. So what I'm doing is basically just erasing it with my filbert brush, going over it, wiping the filbert brush off, going over it again, wiping it off, going over it again, wiping it off, going back to that bigger brush. And now with less thick paint on the canvas, it's easier to blend it away like it never existed. See what I mean? Sit out there like that, very softly. You can have it lost in the clouds back there. Gosh, that would be cool. Okay, let's take a little bit, since we're still out there on our bit, let's take a little of our white paint on the smallest end of the knife, and all I'm gonna do is try to put it sort of in the middle. Just a little touch like that, little dot, right? Now, we may have too much, or it may just work out perfectly to pull that guy out just like this. Right? Now, we don't need to stretch the paint forever because we all know we're gonna move it with that brush, right? So let's try something Josh has never done before. In order to not mix up that spot, I'm gonna put a brand new clean fan brush, right? I'm gonna put it onto that bit of paint right there, and I'm just gonna push. And that way it won't get in our way and it won't move while we're stretching out our light, right? That actually worked out really, really cool, actually, for the first time ever. So, very lightly gonna mix this guy up, just having a little bit of fogginess, right? Just a little bit of fogginess. We'll have like a little cloud, almost acting like it's coming in around the top of this guy, just with a little bit of excess paint on the brush. There, just making it a little foggier out in the distance, a little bit of strangeness going on out here, right? Very cool. What the hell is that hair? Bailey, have you been in my art room? What's your hair doing on my canvas? Look at the size of this hair. Okay, let's see. No, you don't come in here? It's a treacherous place. Don't come into Daddy's art room. Treacherous, right? We're gonna straighten up our bit just a touch. Taking that brightness, shooting it out, trying to make it a little bright. Yes, a little brighter there. Perfection, you guys. Look at that thing just shooting out of the distance over there. Now, what if we took just a couple little guys, right? What if we made like a little bit, there was a little window. Maybe there, maybe there. A couple little guys, some sort of something, little detail off in the distance, right? That's all you need. You don't need to have a crazy amount of detail. You don't need to have super brightness, right? It's very far away. Doesn't need to be so bright. Maybe we have a little touch of white line as it gets darker, as it goes down our little thing, just like that, right? It'd be brighter up here at the top. So we're gonna pull it to the side, just a touch, just a touch, just a touch, just a touch. Little things, little baby details. All you gotta work. All you gotta worry about. Way off in the distance back there. Very cool. Boom, I like that. That's neat. Okay, now let's take this guy. We're gonna figure out where the base is, and then we'll add a little bit of white onto that brush. Just coming in, adding a little bit of white. Maybe we'll have a bit of brightness off of the side of the mountain over there. Sliding it down. All it does is make it this lighter grayish color. Bam, just like that. A little bit on one side, not too much on the other, because you gotta have a shadowy spot, right? Gotta have a little shadowy side. You don't wanna make them perfectly straight either. Amazing. 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 A little bit of white right out there on the edge, right? With a little darkness underneath it. Gotta have that dark spot underneath, and that provides our little base of our land mass out there, right? Very cool. Very neat. Just like that, you guys. So So tell me where you're watching from, guys. What's your favorite sandwich? Oh, I'm just a mess. Okay, that looks really, really, really cool. Just in my own opinion, really cool. So now let's go back to this wave. Now that we've got all of our backwater sort of finished back there, we can even take a bit of our white on the knife, come back in between the darkness and the water, and make little waves, little bits, little white crashers off against the rocks. Again, so far away in the distance that you don't have to really put too much detail into them. Right now, here comes the fun part. Back to our white and our big old crashing monster wave. The monster wave, right? Filling it up with paint like this. Now, we're gonna come back to the tip top of the wave, right? We can imagine in our heads it goes down over this way, right? But you don't have to paint it all. Go to the top, and we don't even really need to put a whole lot into it. All you're gonna do is with your two fingers, you're gonna go whoosh, just like that, right? Just taking it and spinning it. You're gonna touch the canvas, and then you're gonna twist it one time, boop, and then pull it away, obviously, so it doesn't shake back and forth on the canvas like that. So come up to it like this, pop, all you gotta do, right? Right at the crest, right at the tip top, touch it, throw it over, right? Didn't leave that much paint, fine. Come over here again, do it again, throw it over. You don't need a whole lot at the top, and trust me, one more time, right here, throwing it down. That one grew a little bit farther on us because it started to take the thick bit of paint off of the canvas, which is fine. Now watch, we're gonna rotate the whole brush around and spin it. You can see all the white paint out here, all the green paint on the back. So let's spin the brush, and instead of having it like this, we're gonna tuck the handle back behind our hand, right? And that way it has to be at a different angle. Now we're gonna keep a very shallow triangle of darkness right here. You wanna know why? Because it connects to our dark separator, all those lines way off into the distance. So what we have to do is keep that little dark separator by taking our brush like this, touching, throwing off to the side, right? Keeping that little triangle. See why I told you we only needed a couple little bits of water against the thing back there? Now, what did I call this little spot right here, guys? What's it called? Because I talk about it right here. It has a very specific point. Oh no, I just gave away half the term. What's that little spot called over there? Anybody? The pivot point. Pivot point, says Lexi. Right there, gonna pin that comment. Oh, couldn't pin it, that sucks. Brenda, let's pin your comment. Right there, Brenda's got it, the pivot point, guys. Everybody knows we gotta come back to that same spot, right? So, with the same amount of paint on the brush, gonna come back to that same spot, and go out. Gonna go back there, a little bit lower. Back here, a little bit lower and shorter, a little bit lower and shorter, lower and shorter, lower and shorter. Right, now we've come back to the tip top of our wave. My mistake in the past has been adding too much water here, right? You don't need all that water right there. You don't have to have everything coming down and showing that it's smashing in, because we're gonna come up and we're gonna cup up underneath that bit of water anyway, right? So all depends on the angle of your wave. We're gonna take this guy, we're gonna start to make him a little bit bigger. There we go, connecting everything else, right? Now we've got our bit, our little rotational poles, our little curve, our little thing back here, little touch, little bang, little here, little there, right? You don't want to have too much water up above the top, because again, we're going to cup it. So let's come into here, grab up a bit of our white. Don't even need to wash the brush off. Bit more white into there, just very lightly dumping it on so you get a little bit of action like that. Now, one more time, we're going to go fill up this little spot. That's all you got to do. Toss it out. You want it to go up, almost hit your lighthouse? Up to you. Totally up to you. How far above your little horizon do you want to get it up there, right? Over here, we're just going to start to fill it in. So very lightly, back to that same spot, dumping on the color, making our little bits, wrapping it around, going down. Makes this little heart shape, is what we found out over the years of doing the seascapes, and make our little heart shape like that, right? Now, you don't have to go all the way down to here. You don't have to do that big crazy curve. You can literally cut it off wherever you want. Up to you, right? So we're gonna come into here, little sideways things, and then we're gonna, staying about the same thing, right? Just moving to the right slightly. So we're keeping the same distance of these little poles, right? Same thing, we're just starting over here and then kind of coming back, starting a little bit further over, coming back, starting a little bit further over, a little bit further over, further over, further over, further over, further over. And that makes this downward angle of our wave, right? Now, still, we can still see there's some amount of white paint on this brush, so let's use it. let's come back into here. We're gonna start to go back, and then we're gonna start to flick up. We make this rounded thing. It starts coming out, and the more that we go out, the more we touch, and the more we push, and then the more, oh, look at that. It's just, eventually just lines up to where you said it was going to, Josh. I don't know why we didn't listen to you before, Josh. You showed us right where it was gonna be, right? So again, taking the same brush, we've got to imagine there's a little bit of dark, shadowy something, a little ball, a little orb in there that we can't touch. So as we come in here, we start making steeper, 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 shorter, shorter, but not going all the way back in there, right? Because you got to leave it open. Now, this whole thing underneath, we're going to eventually end up turning into sand. This whole bit doesn't really matter because it's going to all be covered in foam. All you really want to have is a bit of white on the top, bit of white on the top there. It's going to look fantastic. My goodness. So, tell me where you're watching from, guys. What's your favorite sandwich? Tag them in the comments. You like Jimmy John's number 9 or a Jersey Mike's number 13, I think is the one that I like. Pretty sure, right? So, again, keeping our little dark space in here. It's going to be vital. We've got our faraway ocean back there that's going to be covered. But look at this, all this openness, right? We need to add some bit of ocean water back in here before we continue. Just some little bit, not too much paint. It's all going to get covered over by our bit of our spray anyway, but we got to have some form of color back there. So we'll take our brush, very firm pressure, stretching it, right? Pushing it. Boom, just like that. Got our faraway water. Even kept our dark separator way back there. See it there? And then right there, a little teeny bit, a little dark separator way off in the distance, right? Now, I'm going to take that brush. Let's decide. Should we, all right, should we make our sand first? You guys want to see the sand come to life, or do you want to see that crashing water with the foam and the action and that bit? What do you want to see first? You guys tell me in the comments. Tell me in the comments. I might have to get some more thinner out of the old bucket and into the jar. So you guys tell me what you want to see first. Do you want to see the sand, or do you want to see what we use to clean the paints with? Odorless mineral spirits. It's fantastic stuff. So, what do you want to see first, guys? What do you want to see first? And always, when you're dealing with a can like this, never pour it with the spout on the bottom. Always pour it with the spout on the top. It comes out without glugging. You know what I mean? Where it's like, and like spits it out everywhere. Ugh, right? I figured this out about, I don't know, 2 months ago. This could have saved me 4 years of spills if I would have figured it out earlier, right? Because you go to pour this stuff like you normally would. You're like, oh, okay, I'll pour it like this, right? All the air gets trapped right here, so it starts spitting it out like your milk jug if you're trying to pour it out. You know how kids spill milk like that? Same thing. And then I figured out if you tip it upside down, the air bubbles at the top, and it flows out nice and easily, right? All things that I teach you guys for free, by the way, without anybody's help. Now, oh man, you know what? We're gonna have to extend this wave a little bit, guys, because our lighthouse is like dead center for Splash Zone City. So why don't we spread them out a bit more? There we go. A bit further, so a bit more paint. Spread it out, coming back that same sort of pivot point. Out there, there we go. Now it'll come crashing down over here, and we can make all of our spray come up into there, saving the lighthouse. Right? We don't want to save the whole thing. We don't want to see every single part of every bit of the painting, of course, but I don't want to cover up the whole lighthouse, otherwise there's no lighthouse anymore. Now, let's go in, and what did you guys say? Did you say the sand, or did you say the crashy water bits? What did you say? What did you say? What did you say? Let's see. They want to see the sand over here on Facebook. What do we got? What do we got? What do we got? Awesome tip, says Brian. Very clever tip. Thank you. Appreciate that. Love you guys. Let's see. Somebody says sand, sand, crash, crash. Seems like more sands than crashes as of right now. So let's put a little bit of excess paint right onto there, just letting it grip on, right? That little bit of white water crash, just like that. Very cool. All we need. Now, you guys want to see the sand? Here it comes. Okay, we need a fresh brush, and I'm going to be asking you some questions during the sand segment. So prepare yourself to answer. Okay. Now we need to load up the paint. Load up that brush with paint. Just like this. Bing, bang, boom, bop, 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 bop. 7, 8, 12, 10, 30,000 times pushing it through the paint. Just like that, right? Now, we're going to come in and we're going to leave about how much of an inch? A fraction of an inch. How much is that fraction? Do you guys know? all you guys that watch the show all the time, does anybody know what's the distance that we leave in between any amount of color and the next little bit of foam? What's that distance, guys? Anybody know the distance? That's the same amount of distance all the time. 1/4 inch, someone not found is getting a follow. I guess I can't follow you. Let's see. Gonna pin this comment. There we go. Someone not found. Everybody go follow them. Because they know it's a 1/4 inch, about a 1/4 inch underneath all that brightness, right? You're gonna wanna drop it. Now, we have to do 2 different things. I say this every time. I'm telling you ahead of the time. We gotta do 2 things. We have to pull it down and we have to swipe it back and forth. There's no rhyme or reason. We have to do it. There's no way around it. You gotta take your medicine. You gotta do it. You gotta push down and you gotta swipe it back and forth. Now, do we push down with a very small amount of pressure, a little pressure, or do we use a lot of pressure when we're trying to make our sand? You guys tell me in the comments right now. I'm gonna come back. We're gonna look and we're gonna see who says what. Let's see. Alan says a lot. Here we go. Wanda G says a lot. Susan Chipper says a lot. Ray says a lot. Dan Mintz says a lot. Heavy pressure and away, says Brenda. A lot. What's that? Shanby Fluid Art over there on YouTube says a little. Liz says a lot over here on TikTok. Staz79 says a lot. Sherry Benton says, I don't know. That's okay, Sherry. We're going to tell you. We're going to tell you. Oh my God, he said my name right. Alan Jan says a lot. Vicky Brennan says a lot over there. Tanya K. Harrell says a lot over here on Facebook. So we've got a couple that said a little and a lot that said a lot. That means a lot of regular people continue to come back and watch the show. So I'm going to show you both ways just in case you're one of the doubters that say little, right? So I'm going to come in with a little bit of pressure, just a little bit, a little touch, bing, bang. And all I want you guys to do is answer me one question. Would you leave your sand looking like this and walk away and just be like, okay, on to the next bit. We're ready to go. What's next, Josh? Are we ready? Anybody? Just yes or no. No judgment, no anything, just yes or no. Would you leave your sand like that and just walk away? Susan Chipper says nope. Let's see, Brenda says no. Breyer says we need a lot of pressure over there on YouTube. Bridget says no over here on Facebook. Bridget Hill. Nope says Jessica. Bonnie says no. Sandra says no, sir. Thank you. Ooh, jeez. It's 6 to midnight over here. So we need to go a lot of pressure, right? We're going to go from a little, let's try a lot now. So we're going to push it hard off the edge of the easel. Look, dragging down, but we're staying about a 1/4 inch underneath any bit of color that's back there. Now, does this look like sand? You can be honest. You can be honest with me. Just be honest. Does this look like sand? I'm just going to sit here and wait. We'll just wait. I don't even need to see the answers because I know the answer is not really. It doesn't really look like sand, right? If you look at it, it doesn't really look like sand. I mean, kind of, but not really, right? Mari says no. I agree. It looks like an aurora borealis. If we were to flip the canvas upside down, and you'd have those sweet auroras like coming down from your sky, smacking onto the earth, right? Now, watch this. So I told you we need to go down and we need to go side to side. So in order to do that, you guys are going to tell me, do we need to push towards the wave first, or do we need to pull away from the wave first? Tell me that. That's the last clue. Do you pull it away first, or do you push it towards there first if we're trying to keep this dark separator? Keep that in your mind, right? I don't want to lose that. So should I pull it away, or should I push it towards first? You guys let me know. Take your meds, but I don't want to. That's funny. Jessica says away. Frankie says away. Alan says, oh, away. Brenda says away. Debbie says pull it. Vicky Brennan says away first. Kayla Gallus says away. Bridget Hill on Facebook says pull away. Push it away says Davis. Away then towards. Away says Sunny and Dazed. Love Dove says pull away. Over there on YouTube. Marlene Garrett over here on Facebook says away. Man, you guys just must watch my show all the time. It's fantastic. Thank you. Okay, watch. We're going to pull this guy away because in our brains, I'm so sorry. Excuse me, ladies. I'm so sorry. So if we were to push this guy towards first, right, those two colors are going to touch. We don't want to do that. We want to retain our dark separator. We don't want to lose it. So we want to pull away from those bits first, away from the wave, creating all these horizontal streaks instead of vertical streaks, right? Just like that. You don't have to go all the way to the edge. You don't really have to, totally up to you. And then back here, watch, with just the small amount that's on the brush, we're gonna pull down and then sideways. And you get this very far away, sandier beach look, a little bit further off in the distance, right? Just like that. Now, we've pulled down, we've pulled away. What's that last step I told you guys? What do we have to do next? I forget already. You guys got to tell me how to paint because I don't know anymore. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. Whatever it is. Bam, just like that. Tell me, what's that last step that we got to do? We've already pulled it away. So we need to sweep it, says Frankie. Foam it up towards lightly, says Lex Disneyland. Susan Chipper says go towards it. You guys are all correct because it looks kind of funky right now, right? It looks a little weird, a little strange, a little strange. We could even use a bit more color into our waves and dragging it out a bit more this way, right? But keeping that same little rounded thing, same little angle, right? We got our dark separator in there now. Like I said, same brush, we're gonna go back and we're gonna push. And as we push this color, you can literally slide it right up, right underneath. Watch how far away we can make that thing go. We can push it back on, even on its own self, curve it even further around on its own self, and leaving that little dark line right in there. That little separation. That helps our wave sit up on top of the sand so it can flow back and forth with that little inch of shadow underneath it, right? It's got that rolling sand as it's coming in. Very, very, very cool. Now, let's wash this brush off. And we'll go back and we're gonna add that, we'll add the, well, I mean, shoot, we could do the spray bit, which I kind of like to save towards the end. So let's add a bit more action on our wave over here, right? So we'll come back to our white, loading it up, both sides, getting it all nastily, all full of paint. Somebody said they don't like when I use the adjective nastily or nasty, so I use it all the time now. I don't know, it's just a self-conscious thing, I don't know. Or a subconscious thing. I don't know how to speak. I don't know why you guys watch my show. I have no idea. No idea. I can't talk. I can barely paint. I don't know what to say half the time. I refer to everything as the incorrect thing. Don't know why you guys watch me, honestly. Now, we got a little bit of extra white right in there, a little sheen. Watch this. We're going to start to drag this guy down as we start to change his angle. And then the further we come over here, the further we're pulling at a different angle. Look at that water just want to come this way. Oh, there he goes right there. Now we're going to pull down in the other direction, brightening that guy up a little bit, right? A little extra brightness is all we need. Pulling it from that same little pivot point. Go back with our little brush, little 1-inch brush, make it nice and soft. Pulling down, right? Fair amount of pressure. You can hear it. Really pushing and pulling on that. Right? Now this guy is a little bit softer because I want to retain some of those light bits of brightness and I don't want it to grow too far and cover over our bit of our dark separator, right? That would be bad. Very lightly taking it up into the bit. And again, it's going to grow. Got to be careful. Got to be careful. Bang! Look at that sucker right there. Just so cool. Okay, now let's... Oh, I like it. I like it. I like it, but it seems like we went over our dark separator just a touch, just a little bit. So we're gonna go back in, scrub in a new one, right? Which sometimes I like to show you guys. It's a big pain in the butt to go scrub in a new dark separator. So I try to tell you not to lose it the first time, right? I try to tell you, but sometimes I'm doing so many things and trying to plan the painting ahead that I started doing that before I did the wave, and or finished the wave anyway, and it sort of got all haywired. But it's fine. It's totally fine. We'll come in here, add a little bit more paint. I think you guys like it when I show you that it's okay to mess up, because you can go back and fix it. You can always go back. Pull it down. Firm amount of pressure, right? Back away from the wave first, and then towards it. But this time we're not going to cover over that dark separator. Slide it back. Bang, just like that. Keeping his little shadows, right? Now here, that's fine, because as we're coming down with our bit of wave, we're not going to be seeing the front of it. We're going to be seeing the top of this section of wave. So as he comes down, it's okay to lose our dark separator because we're not going to be over the top of it looking around and underneath, right? A little bit extra white on there. And we're going to come back in and just add a few little bits right back in there, just along the edge. You got to go up. You got to follow their own angles, right? A little bit brighter bits, that's all you need. A couple little pieces out here. Right, we decide how far we want that guy to go and just all sorts of stuff. Now, here comes the fun part. Let's do that splashy, crashy water, and then we're gonna throw some paint at the canvas, and that's my most favorite bit, is chucking paint at the canvas. It's very therapeutic. To do your whole scene might be the best painting you ever did, and then just throw paint at the canvas. It's very cool, very fun. Now, let's take the same brush, since we're using limited tools. I've shown you, we've had, so far, we've used literally a handful of tools. A 1-inch brush, a 2-inch brush, 2 fan brushes, and a palette knife is all we've used. Keep using the same ones to show you, you don't need a full set of brushes. You don't need every color in the handbook. You can have fun with Paint with Josh with just the stuff you got at home, right? Which is usually not a lot. So let's come over here. Let's scrape up, kind of glob up, mush up, push on. Try to get it in between every single bristle of the brush and just get it all nastily up in there. For whoever doesn't like me to say that, you have caused me to say it more often. I just want you to know. So come in here like that. We're almost gonna connect this to our dark separator, right? I don't need to touch the canvas right here, but just about underneath, we're gonna start to tremble. And just with the very tip of the corner of the brush, and then the more we go, we're gonna start to push harder and harder and harder and harder and harder. Boom, till we get down here to where we smash down upon the earth all these 10 tons of water, and then we start to smush and push and get that thing everywhere, right? It's gotta have all that crazy depth to it, all that thick nastiness, right? Up here, we're kind of cupping underneath, like you go up and grab your honey's bum, little boop, little touch like that, right? Kind of cupping up underneath it, and that gets all that darkness kind of holding everything up. Now we're gonna come across all that darkness with a bit of brightness, right? So out here, let's make like our wave crashed out a bit further. The wave behind that wave, you know what I mean? It's always rolling and going. I'm gonna come up above my horizon line just a bit right there, but save some of the water back here. And we'll see if we can't have this real long crashing bit. Be very cool. And if not, then, you know, we tried it and it didn't work. And that's a lesson that we've learned for the next painting, right? That's what it's all about. That's how I've literally taught myself how to paint. I watched a couple Bob Ross videos, yeah, right? But then tried crap like this and go, okay, let's see what, because obviously it's not just one wave crashing. There would have been wave upon wave upon wave upon wave upon wave, finally getting to this bit where it's rolling. So the whole bit would have some foam or splash in my mind anyway. So you try it and you see what it looks like. And if it looks good, you remember that for the next painting. And if it doesn't look good, you forget it. Forget you ever even did it. And don't ever do that again, right? So what we need to do is, as you can see, my Petri dish is empty. It does look like something is alive and growing inside of there. It's not good, but that's what I like to use instead of, and when you think about it, right, you don't want to have your nice clean jar of Bob Ross liquid white that we're going to use for our highlights and have a bunch of color on your brush and be like, oh no, I just need a little bit more. Let me just pop into the, it makes me vomit, right? Keep this clean. Gotta keep it clean. Don't dilute it with anything else, right? So what I do is I scrape up a bit on my knife like this, and then I dab it into my Petri dish. So let's go back here. We're gonna get that bit, and we're gonna get some into the old Petri dish. And that way we can have a place where we can dip our brush into that's not gonna contaminate the whole brand new fresh jar. You know what I mean? Don't wanna do that. Unless you can afford buying a brand new fresh jar every time that you do a painting, it's not something I would do, because I definitely can't afford a brand new fresh jar every time. I paint way too much. Okay, same brush, that big brush, right? Same one we've been using. Big old monster brush. I've only used 5 tools throughout this whole painting. And what we use? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colors. Ah, it was close. 5 and 6 though, it's close enough, right? Got all of our dark nastiness. Now we need to come in here and get that white, that liquid white paint. It's very wet and runny. Watch this. Literally gonna drip off like syrup off of your plate. Right, here we go. There it goes. Boop, fell down. All on its own. Didn't have to shake it, didn't have to do anything. That's how runny and wet it is. Versus this other paint that you could literally try to shake off the palette and it will never come off. Not runny like that other stuff anyway. So, just like that, all over. You can even tell in the brush itself it's a different consistency of paint. It's much more sloppy and much more liquidy. Right, now we're gonna start our little tremble again. Notice where the handle of the brush is. It's not out here. I'm not trying to use the whole bits, right? Until we come in and we tap just a couple, but we normally do this towards the end. But either way, not trying to do the whole bit, just trying to use the corner. We're gonna start to tremble like this, like we're coming up to the cameras. You're like, just a little bit, right? A little corner of the brush is all we gotta use. So start to tremble and then move. As soon as you hit that thing, staying on top of our shadows, and then you crest above the tip top of your wave, right? Maybe up here. Little taps just to put it just a bit. Oh, right there. Right, the water starts to break into a billion pieces as it's coming over the top. Now we're gonna ride those shadows like a slide all the way down, staying on the top of them, not going down, staying up here. That's why we don't need all of that back color like I was telling you about. That water that we have over here that's crashing and splashing, we don't need all that in the front because of the shape, right? Take the brush, start to tremble, come in here, start to smash it. Now down here, it doesn't make so much of a difference, right? Because it just doesn't make, it's all the crashing, splashing water. But even as much as we just put right there, what did we leave in between all these places? What have we left, right? Does anybody know? In between all those little bits of white and gray and little mushed up bits of paint, does anybody know what we left inside of there? As I come back to check the comments, let's see. Who knows? Who knows what it is? Dark Separator says, ugh, it's Chloe. Ugh. Well, Chloe, I hope you're ready for some follows, because I hope you get some too. We're glad to leave all those dark separators in there, right? Now, the reason for leaving all those dark separators is because the liquid white wants to grow much faster and spread much further than our titanium white that was in the clouds, right? So just coming back here with the smallest amount of pressure, and then we decide, right, what do we want it to look like? How much is it crashing? I'm trying to leave the tiniest little bit of green water back behind our spray just to see what it looks like. And who knows, we might have to, we may end up not liking that bit. We may end up putting a rock right there. You can do all sorts of stuff. All depends on you, right? Come out here, forget about what's back behind there, trying to save our house, our little lighthouse back there. Very lightly as we come up here. You don't need to go so far. A couple little bits, right? Not touching this area up here. Now we go back for round 2. Okay, we're gonna go back into the liquid white. We're gonna come back into our titanium white. Now, do we need to push this on, right? Do we need to start mixing it with more pressure or less pressure than we did before? We're gonna add a little fewer, like couple less bits. Don't need to have as many little bits as we had before. Now, do we do it with less pressure or do we do it with more pressure? You tell me in the comments. Less or more? Hey, Bailey, can you go downstairs with that, please? Let's see, we got less pressure, less pressure, less pressure. Can you go downstairs with that, please? It's very loud. Less pressure, dark spaces over there, less pressure, Bridget Hill. You guys are right. You guys are right. Less pressure, right? Because we don't want it to mix all to the exact same. So we'll go less pressure and more erratic sort of swipes, right? Boom, just like that. And that way, water's come down, it's hit. This water hasn't hit yet. This one's just starting to twinkle as it goes over. Lots of different things. Now, I say we put a rock in right here, just because it didn't turn out exactly how I thought it was going to. And it leaves us a lot of space for a lot of stuff. We'll put in a giant old rock in here, right? So just wherever we want to have one, just dump on the paint, bring it down, smushing it on, right? Get all these little bits of action, mushing it on there, pulling it down, just like we do with a mountain, you know, any which where else, just like that. Get a little bit more, pull some of the darkness off to the side. It'd be a big old giant rock over here, right? Now, very light pressure with our 1-inch brush because we don't want it to grow so incredibly far and take up all of our dark sand. You don't want to have it grow down like that, right? So, very lightly, but all we're doing is just making a little mini mountain out of it. Pulling off to the side, pulling in this direction and that direction. A couple little bits, sliding it down, having little angles where we can go back and put on some highlight. Just like so. Very cool, guys, right? Now, let's take our sand and start to swipe back up into this guy, and then we'll go back and brighten it up. Just like that. A little bit. Bingo, bango, swiping back up from the edge. Oh, just like that, keeping it a little darker down here, a little bit more shadowy. right? We have to go back in now since we kind of darkened up that area. Make it a bit brighter, just with our little bits, right? Same pressure, pulling it down, pulling it forward. Same things that we do every time, just make it a little bit more shiny. Now, let's come in, since we've got the browns out, I guess not, we don't even have, no. All right, let's add our, we'll keep it a little crazy over here. A little blue action for our shadowy side, right? So a little bit of that, a little bit of our dark colored. And the show is over, everybody. That's our 1 hour timer. We come over here very lightly, just start to dump off some bits of stuff, right? Little differences way over here. Now, you know what? Let's get the brown out. I want to get the brown out. Come back, scrape all that up. Very cool, very easy. All we got to do is get a little bit of this color out and make a cool little rock. So you can use the burnt sienna or the raw umber or whatever. I know we've all figured out no one knows how to cook umber apparently. It's either burnt or it's raw. So use the lighter color, the lighter colored brown. That's what I like to say. There's usually 2 brown colors. I like using the lighter one to make our highlights with. And we sort of incorporate some of the darker one in there as well. It's never just one bit of color, right? And a lot of times we like taking some of that yellow ochre that's right next to it and mixing that guy in as well. A little touch of white just to brighten it up. And we got a very cool looking sandy little rocky color. So we'll come in here like this, just off of the front side, gonna start dropping in little bits of brown wherever we think the light might hit it, right? Little pieces, little areas, doesn't have to be super thick, right? Doesn't have to be super bright. It's a nighttime scene. We're gonna take our darker color, mix it in with that brown over here, creating a much darker brown, right? Just like that. Gonna come off the back side with this guy with that much darker color. And that way you'll have the same amount of texture on your rock as before, yet have it be a darker color in the back. Very cool. So you have your light side, you got your dark side. The light side of the force, and the dark side. Take a little bit of our yellow ochre, mix it up with that brown just to have it be a little bit brighter color. And we're gonna come in and add in a few more highlight areas and maybe a little bit of brightness off the back of that little guy. There we go. See how that little bit of difference in there? Those little touches of difference give you the coolest look and the deepest, darkest shadows. Shadows and dust, Maximus. Just wicked. Now very softly, swiping up. Just like that, just at the bottom, right? And then real rough, gonna mix in all those little swipes. Bang, bang, boom, you guys. So, if you enjoyed this painting, I do this all the time over on TikTok. We do it on Facebook and YouTube on Monday and Friday nights. So luckily for you guys, it's a Monday or a Friday and we're here doing it. Now, here's the most fun part. We take our liquid white on a small fan brush, stick it out there on the edge of the palette, and then we come over here, and I guess there was a couple back there, but up here, just go ham. Just boom, smashing down all these little white splashies. Just, and that just adds 10 tons of depth to your whole painting. It's really awesome. Really, really sort of awesome. Let's come in here with a little bit of our liquid white, and maybe around the edge of our little rocky guy, and a couple little watery line action bits out there. Maybe out here. A few little bits into our sand, kind of feeding their way back to the water and get sucked back that way. Just like that. Wicked neat, guys. Very cool. Got all those little swipey action bits. Those are cool. All right, now let's put in the old signature and you guys tell me, what are we gonna name this sucker? Because it's just a gorgeous little lighthouse painting. I love it. Plus we have to add our lightning in. This is gonna be a good long painting. So let's see, I wanted to add my lightning in, right? Initially we wanted to hit it there, so let's do that. Let's put it in our brightest part of our cloud. I'm gonna come in here with a little bit of brightness. Just a little circle, just like that, little dot, right? And go back, load up on our liquid white just in case any of it came off while making that dot. Little bit, don't need a whole lot. Now, we're gonna come up first and then down. We're gonna come up, little bits. And then as we go down, we start twisting the brush because all the paint is coming off of it. So it's getting harder and harder and harder to drag that paint down. So it's gonna get thinner and thinner, more sharp towards the end, right? Naturally getting skinnier and skinnier and skinnier towards the end of its life. There we go. right into the water even. You can have it do whatever you want to do. You don't want it to go all the way into the water, don't have it go into the water. Totally up to you guys. Mine looks like it's just about to come down and touch. Right there. Gorgeous, right? Now, with the end bit, we just very lightly, with just like 3 hairs on that 1-inch brush, just mix it up so light that it looks like the cloud up here kind of got a little bit brighter as the lightning came out of it, right? Got a touch brighter right there, right where it extended and erupted right out of the cloud itself. There we go. I'm going to push it back a little bit further, just so it's not right out on the end. Right, little bright area. Very cool, guys. Very cool. Now, that is fantastic. Let's take our little bit over here, the last little bits of sprays that we had on our little fan brush, our little thin guy, and we're going to just chuck a couple, just very lightly, out into the sky, because you don't want to have too many. If you put out too many out there, it's going to look weird. Just going to look strange. Man, that's cool. It's like a reflection of the stars in the beach with the little pebbles in there. Oh, it's fantastic. So now we're going to come over here and just finish up the last little bit where we come and shrink our dark separator, right? So we shrink it down over here, pushing it in towards the last little bit of it, right? Now bringing this guy from down here, swiping it up, just shrinking it back, all up to us. How far do you want to get it? How close do you want to come up? All up to you. Shrink your little dark separator back there. Very cool though, right? Doesn't have to show at each turn, right? Very small little guy. Trying to maintain our angles, swiping up from the side. Very neat, guys. Very cool. All right, let's add the signature like I said. Taking our little family on a ride out there. Now that the lightning's done, not sure we want to be flying next to that. Let's fly over here. We're going to come out, get a little bit too much on the brush. Come out over here, and I like to throw my family into every scene. And even though we're not together anymore, London still goes into every painting because she is my family. And we have a gorgeous daughter together who is also featured right there. And this big old ugly one, that's me. So, yeah, we all go flying throughout every scene that Paint with Josh paints. It's been like that since the dawn of time. Maybe if you don't want to refer to it as that, you could think of it as the 3 Ps. Or, you know, your family, or whatever, whoever it is. Whoever, it's always cool though. Ever since I started doing it and then people started figuring out what the birds were like, or what they were represented, it kind of made them start doing it to their family. And there's lots of people that are adding the birds as part of their family into their paintings. Some people still ask me why I only have 3. They're like, why do you only ever do 3? I never see 1 or 5 or 7, or it's just always 3. I'm like, well, it's because they're very special 3. Those are a special 3 bits right there. All right, clean off these last of these brushes. So you guys got to come up with a name for this painting. Tell me what you think it should be named. What would you name it if you had just painted it? Emerald Crashing Lighthouse Lightning something or other. Right? You don't have to incorporate all the bits of the painting into the title. It doesn't have to be like that. You could literally call it like, I don't know, Green Crashers Bay. Call it whatever you want to call it. Literally. Does not matter. You could call it Serenity or whatever. Anything. Anything. How does it make you feel? Call it that. All right, let's see what we got. And then we might have to end one of the streams just to see if the painting's sold or not, because when I do all 3 streams at once, I never have a device to tell me if the painting's sold or if it didn't sell or if we have a buyer or not or whatever. So this one turned out fantastic. That's all I can say. Let's see, where can I find a canvas smaller? I don't know what to type into Amazon. So, you could do this single painting on any canvas size that you have, right? I have a 15 by 30 for tonight. That's what I chose to go with. I normally do them vertically, and we'll do like a waterfall or something, but I've never done one with a seascape on this size of a canvas. So, You don't have to do it on the same size canvas exactly. You can get a 16 by 20 and just do it horizontally, or an 18 by 24, or 24 by 30, or whatever. You'll have much more room on a 24 by 30. But you don't have to do it. You can do it a 10 by 20, or a 12 by 24, or a 15 by 30, a 16 by 40. You can do it on whatever size you have. Whatever size that you want to do it on is the best size to do it on, right? Doesn't ever have to be exactly the same. I say that all the time. Never has to be exactly the same. Because we don't all buy the same canvases, right? Sometimes I buy the big professional ones when I just know it's going to be a good scene. And these big professional ones are more valuable, right? So you get a higher dollar if you want to sell them like this, right? Normally, if you're just going to practice, or if you're not that good yet, don't buy the real professional canvases. Now, granted, they're much softer and much nicer to work on for sure. I completely agree. But they are much more expensive as well to get your practicing done, right? You don't have to go too crazy. So, yeah, love you guys though. All right, now, let's go ahead and we'll say goodbye to, I don't know, how many people we got watching on every which place? You got that over there, this over there. Pop, 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 pop. Looking cool, looking cool. Cosmic Lighthouse, what about Cosmic Lighthouse? She didn't get this one. There's no way. She just got one yesterday. No way. What am I not going to see? Let's see. Why is Dan Mintz thanking her? Now I got to go back and read the bits. I'm lost. Okay. Well, I love you guys. I'm gonna end the YouTube and the Facebook streams. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching number 880 come to life. We don't have a name for it yet because we don't have a buyer for it yet. And I think I'm going to leave this one to be named by the buyer. I'm the only person that I know of that lets the buyer name their art, title it, whatever they want. So this one was number 880, and it turned out fantastic. Now, let's go, and what's the date today? It's the 28th, right? It's the 28th. Got that. We're all going to go to paintwithjosh.com if you want to find my live schedule, or my YouTube page, or my Facebook, my Instagram, my TikTok, my Amazon affiliate store, my Amazon wish list, all the places that you can go, you can find on paintwithjosh.com. And my manager yells at me when we don't get traffic to paintwithjosh.com. So go to paintwithjosh.com so I don't get the lash. And yeah, I love you guys on YouTube and on Facebook. And until I see you guys again next time, thank you for tuning in. Take care. Have the rest of a good day. And bow. My goodness, this one turned out